Good evening. Welcome to the July 15, 2021 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm going to do the speech before we do the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, sorry, I pulled my chair
stay
back.
standing.
Okay. For many of you, this is
I'm just trying to get back to the old way.
For many of you, this is your first time back to a live meeting at Town Hall. For the board, it's our second live meeting. We're very happy to be here. As you may have seen on the signs when you walked into Town Hall, those fully vaccinated, at least 14 days from their last shot, are no longer required to wear a face covering at Town Hall, though, as you can see, some of our board members and staff will be keeping their masks on. With that, I'd ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will be starting this meeting with the public hearings. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking other than attorneys will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. Members of the public are typically given a 3-minute time limit on their testimony, so please keep that in mind. I also just want to mention a couple of other things. The first thing is, if you have your cell phones on you, if you can do us a favor and silence them or turn them off, because they interfere with our recording equipment. In addition, if you are inclined to speak to one another while you're waiting for your application to be called, if you can do us a favor and go in the hallway to speak rather than speak in the auditorium, we'd greatly appreciate that as well, because that also interferes with our recording equipment. Lastly, I just want to read the emergency evacuation procedures. In case of emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room to one of the staircases across the hall and continue downstairs and out through the main entrance. Please do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall. And with that, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was July 1st.
Motion. Second.
Okay. Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And then want to next go on to the agenda and adjournments.
Okay, there are some changes to the agenda. Item 7 on the agenda, move to put that over to 8.5.
We do.
Okay,
Okay, so that's a motion to adjourn. This is,
8.5.
8.5, this is right.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 8 on the agenda, 1201 Noyak Road LLC, I move to adjourn that to 8:19.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 9 on the agenda, Matthew Lucas, 38 Bay View Drive East, in Noyak. I'll move to adjourn that to 8:05.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 10 on the agenda, which is Thomas R. Stahecki, Living Trust, 1205 Majors Path. I'll move to adjourn that to January 20, 2022.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Ms. Kern?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, the following decisions will be held over to our next meeting, which is 8/5. That's Elisa McLean and Andrew Winter, Haney Farm LLC, Joshua Forster LLC, Robert Postma and Janet Whalen, Richard Stott, and 85 Eastway LLC, and Barbara Swilowski. I move all those go to 8.5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, on Jer Zapata, that application has been withdrawn. And then Diego and Marlene Quispa, I'll make a motion to reopen to accept written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, reopened.
We got them, huh?
Yep.
Okay, now I'll move to close with a determination tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, that's the end of the difference, and then we're gonna go to the beginning of the agenda, which is Laura's Mazarian. Sorry about that, 99 Crescent Street, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-17-1-2. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. One, for the proposed two-story dwelling on a non-conforming lot. 330-83K yards for a principal rear yard setback of 28.5 feet, plus or minus at the westerly side of the dwelling where 30 foot is permitted, and 17.8 feet at the easterly side of the dwelling where 30 feet is
that little red
permitted.
chair.
2, 330-84D, pyramid height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 2,194.4 cubic feet, 760 cubic feet on the westerly side of the property, and 1,434.4 cubic feet at the easterly side of the property. And 2, for the proposed swimming pool, 330-11, residential districts table of dimensional regulations for an accessory front yard setback of 36 feet where 70 feet is required, and 2, for an accessory side yard of 13 feet where 20 feet is required, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction.
Good evening. Whoever would like to give testimony, just have to swear you in, unless you're an attorney.
All three.
All three, okay. So if you can, I guess all three of you can just state your names and addresses, please?
Doris Nazarian,
Go ahead.
99 Crescent Street.
Okay,
Hi, Roars, 99 Crescent Street.
okay.
Paul Curcio, 6 Drake Ave, Bellport.
And do you all swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
What was your name?
Paul Curcio?
C-U-R-C-I-O?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you can tell us about the application.
Yes, hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you very much for your time today. I'm Loris, this is Jairo, my partner, and Paul works with Mike Gentile's office, who's our architect. So we bought this house in 2014. This was a house that was built in the 50s, that was held by one family for 65 years, sold to a couple who sold it to us in like a couple of years later. We fell in love with Sac Harbor, the bakery, and unfortunately it's not there anymore, but it will be replaced by Carissa in the Big Old Buoy store, I heard. We love the location. We have friends that are on the other side of Crescent Street, and the cul-de-sac feeling of the street and friendly vibe of the neighbors that became friends made us really love that location. 2 years, it took us 2 years to learn the space was too tight. And in 2016, we came in front of this board, Mr. Grossman and Mr. Tudhill, you were there back then. And we learned that a wetland permit was first to be processed, and that sent us back to the drawing board. Life throws you a curveball, and we had some personal setbacks that delayed us. But now, being on the other side of the pandemic, one of the lifetime event that made us realize that we needed more space, more than ever. So we engaged Mike Gentile office and trusted him with the architectural design that we're going to show you. And this is the result of many times back and forth with Marty and the conservation board. To conform with the wetland constraints. This is a 3,300 square feet dwelling. All the neighboring houses built in the last 10 years are in the same scale or larger. than what is requested here. And the proposed design is an upgrade of the existing one-story ranch-style dwelling to an aesthetically pleasing, flat-roofed, modern house, as you can see on those pictures. We had to incorporate a lot of things in there, a new IA sanitary systems. There are currently 4 cesspools on the front property on the water side, and we're satisfying all the flood zone requirements that are even more stringent on this property due to the Limois line that goes to the property. The new house that we're building, we would like to build is respects the current setbacks. Marty wanted us to really straighten the house from the current.
Actually, this one diagram will show one of the initial drawings of the house, where, as you can see, you don't have a copy of this, but the house is slightly tilted, and that is we were always wondering, and Marty would ask us, why the house was not at a 90-degree angle with the parcel, and after a couple of years, we realized that homeowner who built this house in the 50s really paid attention to the environment and the fact that it is much nicer to look up the Paynes Creek versus to just look straight at it. It has a more playful. So with that, however, Marty wanted us to, again, build the house at a 90-degree angle. So therefore, one of the requests for the setbacks that we could not hold because of that, straightening the house, we're requesting a relief on that side, and this is the west side of the house. But that explains why the house is no longer at an angle, but now at a 90-degree.
Yeah, so just one thing I just wanted to ask, for the drawing that you're showing, and also for the pictures, if you can submit even electronic copies of them, just so we have them in the, in the file, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we eventually got the wetland permits, and so within these constraints, we were able to show you what we currently have in front of you, with the addition of with a pool that is also in the wetland permit. The modern flat structure, being flat, requests us to come in front of this board to ask for a variance for 2,480 cubic feet of pyramid relief.
Okay.
So we're happy to take any questions, and thank you very much for your time and consideration on this application.
I just had a couple of questions looking at the drawings that we had, and numbers. I found pyramid relief, I have in the advertisement 2194.4 cubic feet, but on on the elevations, I saw 2480.6.
Okay, I can explain that.
Okay.
For the initial denial letter, the cubic footage from the south property line, that was not picked up. So that adds up to the total of 2480.6.
Okay, so that's the number that you actually need.
That's the actual number, but
Okay.
I believe Marjorie did not pick up on that number when
Okay.
writing the denial letter.
Okay, no, I'm glad you clarified that, because you just need to
Yes,
have that
that's
information, in the record. Now, we also got a bunch of comments from the building department. Have you seen them
Yes.
already? Okay,
No,
so,
not what I gave you, something else from the building
Yes, I
department.
know.
Okay.
Yes.
okay, so,
We did clarify the square footage.
Okay.
That was a question of the roof areas.
yeah,
So we adjusted the square footage of the covered porch. The calculation was off because we were going through the design revisions and making it correct. So we clarified that, and the plans that you have are accurate. And in the current survey that was dated 7/7/21, that is correct.
okay, and Marjorie is satisfied with what you submitted at this
I
point?
have not heard back from Marjorie, but
She has not reviewed it, though.
Okay.
I do have it, though.
Okay, all right.
We
So
did
she,
address it.
she may be fine with it, she may ask you to make some, further changes. So, okay, but I just wanted to make sure that that was covered. I see we have a few, letters from neighbors, and I think there are some people here as well. Have you talked to the neighbors in terms of how, kind of their perspective on all this?
Yes, we have spoken to all neighbors that were required, and people are looking forward to seeing this house being upgraded. It's, like I said, it's a very charming part of Crescent, and it's the end of the street, and so we're very friendly with our neighbors, and they all are favorable.
Okay, good. So I also just want to mention that I think, for the most part, the setback relief is fairly modest. The pyramid relief, it's not a small amount of pyramid relief in the scheme of things, but I understand that you have constraints on this property.
Yeah, someone constrained.
Yeah.
I had to deal with Marty.
Yep. So, and it's, we do grant relief for the amount and the range of what you're requesting here. Anyway, I didn't have any other questions. Wanted to see if any questions from members of the board or Katie?
Well, I did give Paul, we just got Marty's referral report yesterday.
Okay.
And it did have something that Paul will just have to look at. It had some comments about the site plan and the consistency with setbacks.
We have abandoned the site plan, and we've been using the survey that was issued by the Conservation Board. So that
Watch out for the
that dated
microphone.
survey, site plan was older than.
Okay. So are we getting a revised site plan, or we're just going based on the survey?
We can submit a revised site plan for the building department, but we've been going on the survey just for procedural purposes
Okay.
with Marty. They wanted the survey, not a site plan. so
Sure. I
we
mean, we
put the
typically
survey.
prefer a survey too, so, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
if,
we go by the survey, and the
Alright, so
survey
just
is
skip the site
100%
plan.
accurate and consistent with the wetland permits.
Okay.
Yeah.
and then I know since Brian just got here, Brian typically asks, what are your ceiling heights? Is there any way to reduce the pyramid? So,
That is
He's
correct.
here.
Just remembering the question, so.
Well, I have a response for that. A project we had done a bunch of years ago in 2014, I believe it was granted 3110 cubic feet. Again, in a flood zone, we've tried to meet all the requirements.
I'm
I
sorry.
just figured we're under that number as far as precedent, so maybe that could help.
No, I think it's
I didn't hear
What
the
is-
ceiling heights, though.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
is-
That
yeah.
was previous.
We have a
9 and 10,
10-foot ceilings on the first floor,
and 9,
9-foot ceiling on the second floor.
and I'm 6'5".
What do you think, Brian?
We usually ask for 9 and 9,
Yeah.
Or 9 and 8, but
some kind of combination of that. When we're asking for, when relief is being requested, that's typically where we look to go to try to minimize the amount being asked for.
Okay.
Unless there's another reason, because usually, like, height is just aesthetics, right? So it's not a health or safety issue, it's not a property inconvenience, it's, what's the minimum amount of relief that we can grant, if we grant relief, that achieves the applicant's goal. So, no one's asking you to do 8-foot ceilings, because I know
No.
where building has gone now, but,
Yeah.
what would it look like if they were 9 and 9? What would the pyramid relief be?
Yeah,
That would
we
be-
would rather keep 10 and 9. I mean, my partner is very tall, as
No,
he's
but-
6'5". And the size of the pyramid relief that we're asking for, I think, is also, considering the constraints of the property, I think reasonable. We're not asking for 10 and 10 or 12 or crazy numbers like that. We've gone really multiple times at this and tried to come up with a proposal that we thought that we could live with without reaching out. And we really appreciate your consideration on this basis.
How about half a foot, Brian?
I would ask anything, if you were willing to do anything, that would,
I-
Nine, not,
Half a foot, I-
6 inches
willing
and
to-
spread it out however you want, I would,
I
that would work.
definitely, I would.
Okay.
Okay, so, but if we change that as we revise the application, does that mean you're going to have to go back and
Oh, we're gonna
deal
have
with
to,
the...
we're already halfway through the structure and doing calculations and all that stuff, and there is
Yeah.
some pretty deep steel beams, so
Okay. Okay, but it can be done, but I'm just,
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to cost, you should tell us what that is, because that could factor into our consideration.
Time and money and redone calculations to change the design.
And I don't know, I got here late, my apologies, but I don't know what other
This is for
members
a
have
half a
said.
foot we're talking
Yeah.
Well, we
about?
were just discussing that, we weren't.
No, I
yeah,
understand, but I'm just saying, I think if it were a foot,
Right.
but a half a foot.
And I'd also like to see the calculations, what they're, even to lower a foot, to see what they are, because it's a flat roof structure, so maybe there's only going to be a small amount of cubic footage that's going to be reduced by.
Yeah.
Actually, I
So
did
I'd
have
like to
that.
see what the
That
calculation is.
It's actually 750. If the ceiling height is reduced.
If you reduce by a
both
foot.
floors, Yeah.
On both floors.
Yeah, just do a paper
So
napkin, do a paper napkin.
going to 9 and 8 would be reduced by how much?
Actually,
I have some
Yeah,
better numbers.
let your, yeah.
let the architect do the numbers.
Yeah.
All right, if we were to do 9-foot first floor and a 9-foot second floor,
Right.
the total cubic footage would be 1,870.8 cubic feet.
Versus 2,000.
2,480 with a 10-foot first floor and a 9-foot second floor.
It's a significant difference.
If this is okay with the board, we would love for you to consider the 2486.
I understand. We just got to get to four, that's all. Four board members that are good with the application as is. And I
Consider
don't,
this.
Because I don't have any problem with 2480.6.
Anybody else? Susan, you're okay with it, or no?
I'm
you-
okay with it.
Okay. Anyone else?
On the cubic footage?
Yes.
Yeah. So reducing it by a foot would bring it to 1,800 or thereabouts.
2,400 is not a lot of relief
Yeah.
from other
No,
places we've
It's
seen.
been around a long time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could support that.
From here, send them down and see Marty.
But a very valid question, and it's one that needs to be on the record, yeah.
and I appreciate the fact that you were prepared for the question, because
Must have watched some videos, I've been asking that for 12 years. It's been the same
I won't
question
lie.
for 12.
I won't lie.
But like I said, there was precedent on another property where it was 3110.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the thing about it, from my perspective, for what it's worth, is we often grant relief for the range of 2,500 cubic feet. of
Yeah, that's-
pyramid
that's
relief.
why I'm-
We often do. If this was 5,000 feet of pyramid relief, 6,000, we would be asking people, but I think with this number, absent a neighbor objecting, I don't necessarily see it as being that much of an impact on the neighbors, but, you know, we'll see if there's anybody that...
There's a lot of relief being requested here. There is.
There is, but it's also,
In the whole.
but it's also constrained lot, so, yeah, that's, yeah, they had to jump through a bunch of hoops in order to get here.
May I ask a question about the pool?
Yeah.
That is, what is constraining you from keeping the proposed pool in at least the same setback to the side yard as the existing pool? It looks like it's just
No, there's no existing pool.
proposed, oh, I'm sorry, that was the, what's
There was a
that?
deck.
What's that
It
square,
was a
that, the
deck.
wooden deck,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so would you be able to keep your, instead
they're
of
going-
reducing from 17 to 13?
No, they're closer
No,
than
no,
dotted.
we are actually further out
They're
from
further-
the front,
They're
from the
further
side
from what's
yard.
there. The
The
dotted is
existing
what's
side yard
existing.
is 10 points.
So they're
Oh,
cutting
that
it,
dot.
cutting it.
Yeah,
We're going
it's a
to
bit-
13.
It's a lot on the survey.
This survey or site plan is really hard to read.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I had to go over it with a magnifying glass, just so you know. I didn't bring it to the meeting, but, you know.
The line where the current garage is at 10
No, the dotted
feet
line is
from
what's
the side
existing,
line.
and that's what they're eliminating.
Oh.
So they're moving,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
solid
yeah.
is what they're.
Oh, the solid is a
Yes.
proposed, you
Yeah.
did a really good job on that.
Yeah,
It's hard to
thank
read,
you.
so it's a lot on there.
I was-
All right. Okay. Any other questions from members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Nazarian? This is for property located at 99 Crescent Street in Noyak. Great. If you want to go over to the podium, unless you want to grab a chair, whatever you prefer.
Hi.
Okay.
Stephen Leffler, 68 Whitney Road, Sag Harbor.
Okay, and just have to swear you in, if you can state you just said your name and address, or you just say, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth,
Yes, I
and nothing
do.
but the truth? Okay.
We all got bubble brain.
LOEFF as in Frank, LER. I'm a neighbor of the applicants. I've seen the house that they have, that they're replacing this one with. It's a much, much better fit for the neighborhood. Everything that they're doing, it conforms very well to the neighborhood. We all very much support their application. I personally don't believe that the relief that they're requesting is unreasonable, and I hope that you grant their application.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Yes.
Ed Jablonski,
Okay, Ed, you go to the podium and to the microphone so we get you on the tape. And your address, please?
100 Crescent Street, diagonally across from the house in question.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. I just wanted to reiterate that I've lived there for 40 years, and the whole street is changing, and there's only a few of the original houses left, and there's a house very similar to what they're requesting, a few doors up on the same side of the street. It really fits in nicely. The house across the street, I think it's, I forget the number, right across the street, next one down, whatever the number is, that's right across the street from them. It has a modern flair, so that will go in nicely. And the house next to them going east is much higher, has a much higher roof than this would have. It's an old house, built 2 stories and a big high roof, so this house will be smaller looking than that. So I think it's a good addition to the neighborhood, and I think all the neighbors I talk to are in favor of it.
Okay, great, thank you for your comments, appreciate it. Anyone else? Well, it looks like your neighbors are very happy with the project. That's always a good thing.
That's lucky, yeah.
Okay, unless there are any other questions, Brian, it's yours.
Okay. Were we waiting on anything from conservation?
Nope, we just got the report yesterday.
So seeing or hearing no one else, I'd move that we close the public hearing. We will have a written decision on 8/5.
And then written subs.
Oh, we're going to leave written sub, even though
Yep.
we're back in person?
We are, yes.
Ah, okay, so we're going to have written subs open until 7:29.
7:29.
With a decision on 8/5.
Yes, and if it turns out that when you speak with Marjorie, she needs you to revise anything.
You can let us know that.
You can just submit it.
Yep, you don't have to come back on any of those dates. by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
So, for the record, I drove by this subjects a lot. I live in the area, so I do think it'll fit in nicely over there. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Do we have a second? Okay. Mr. DeSessa,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Ms. Kern,
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Aye. Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Have a good rest of your night. Thank you.
Good luck with it. I know that house, I was in that house.
Neighbors should support live.
Almost.
Yeah, really. Item 2 on the agenda is Scott Schlachter,
The old guy.
7 Stanford Court, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-24-1-49. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. Will propose second-story deck on a non-conforming lot. 1, 330-115D3 continuance for a principal front yard setback of 44.6 feet, where 50 feet is permitted, and 2, a principal minimum side yard setback of 14.6 feet, where 15 feet is permitted, and 330-84D pyramid height for encroachment on the north side of the property of 112 cubic feet, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction.
Good evening. Just have to swear you in unless you're an attorney. Non-attorney, okay. If you can just state your name and address.
Jennifer Wicks, 200 Bellevue Avenue, Santa Maria.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. If you can tell us about the application.
They're asking for a second-story deck. The relief they're asking for, I don't feel is excessive. They have a non-conforming lot with 2 front yards. The front yard, or what's considered the front yard on Margaret Drive, it's completely wooded. You can't see the house, the natural vegetation that's there, so it's a front yard, but you really their rear yard. they're asking for, so for that rear yard, 5.5 feet, they're asking for, and for the side yard, a half a foot. And the pyramid, they're asking for relief of 115 cubic feet, which I don't believe is much
112.
compared to what we just heard.
I had 112, so
112, okay, I may have
that's
misspoke.
okay. That's all right.
Is it 112?
Just want to make sure it's,
Sorry, wait.
it was advertised for 112, just want to make sure.
Yeah, 112,
And-
I'm sorry.
And I believe that was on the pyramid sketch as well.
Yes, and they did ask for the updated pyramid. I guess they wanted it from all property.
Yes.
So, yeah, which the architect and the surveyor,
Okay.
they have it. but-
So Marjorie's comments have been addressed?
Yes, yep, I just gave
Okay.
the single and separate search.
Okay.
They have.
Okay, good.
That was quicker
But
than the
everything else,
surveyor.
revised plans have been submitted?
No, not yet. They're still
Okay.
working on them,
Okay.
Okay, all right.
if you know how
Oh,
surveyors and architects are, so.
okay, okay, all right.
So my only question is on the half a foot, because it seems,
Excessive?
well, no, it doesn't seem excessive, it's just a
Or
little.
why?
Yeah.
It's the way it fell? I mean, do you,
And I was just wondering, because it's a half a foot, so it's 6 inches, so I was wondering how they couldn't work that out, if there's a particular reason they couldn't work that out.
I guess,
To use this board's time to give relief on a half a foot is, not always the best use of time. That's what we're
No,
saying.
I wasn't saying that, I was just saying. I just
Well, that's what I'm
wondering
saying.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
yeah, I just think with the size they wanted, it happened to be the 6 inches.
Yeah, the flip side of it is the relief is so
It's minimal.
minor.
No, I'm not.
So minor.
I'm okay with it, I saw it.
I
The
no, I
question is,
understand.
why would you ask for that
Just-
little bit of
right,
relief?
right.
I understand.
Build
I
it
understand
without,
what you're saying,
how you can,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Any other questions from members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who is waiting this evening to be heard in connection with the application of Schlatter, I hope I'm not mispronouncing it, for a property located at 7 Stanford Court in Noyak? If anyone would like to be heard, you need to let us know. Doesn't seem like anyone's here on this application. Okay.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
So what are we missing, Katie? Are we missing an accurate pyramid calculation?
Well, yeah, they have to.
It
they
just
have to-
came in?
No, that didn't come in. What she gave us was the single and separate search, so that addresses the first question about,
Okay.
from Marge, but then it looks like they have to revise the pyramid sketch and assume, the calculation, so maybe, I can't imagine that it's going to be significantly more, but it has to be fixed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know.
So
Yeah.
if they get that in time and it doesn't change significantly,
Do you have a copy of this?
Yeah, yes, I do, yeah.
Okay. I just
They
wanted
were
to
submitted, it
clarify
was
that.
given to the architect and the
Yeah.
surveyor.
And then after they're submitted, then Marjorie's got to review them and make sure that they're,
It's all good.
that she's okay with them. And
Just
then-
not that it's more than 112, otherwise
Okay.
you have to come back.
Okay.
If it's 112 or less, you don't
We're
have to
good,
come back.
okay.
Okay.
Yep. If it's more, you might have to come
Come
back.
back? All right. Are you messing with me?
No, no, seriously. On that one, you would have to. You advertise for 112,
Okay.
so if it was more
It
than
has
you
to.
advertised for, you'd
Okay,
have to
okay.
come back.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
All right. But for now,
For now, you're okay.
yes, and Susan, it is yours.
Okay, so I'm going to move that we close the public hearing and that we allow for written submissions up till July 29th and a decision on August 5th.
Second.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your night.
You too.
I know.
Bye.
It is so nice to see people in person. It really is.
it is.
Some
It's
people.
so nice.
Oh, well, some people.
Some people.
Mr. Bruin already started walking up, so I figured, walked right into that one.
Okay, 3 is Charles W. White and Mary White, 103 Poncorg Avenue in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-396-1-41. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. 1, for the proposed front porch addition on a non-conforming lot, 330-115C, continuance for a principal minimum side yard setback of 10.4 feet on the south side of the dwelling where 11.4 is existing, and a principal total side yard setback of 25.3 feet, where 26.3 feet is existing. 2, 330-84D pyramid height for a total encroachment in the amount of 56 cubic feet, 12 cubic feet existing and 44 cubic feet proposed. 2, for the proposed one-story dwelling addition, 330-115C continuance for a principal minimum side yard setback of 10.8 feet on the north side of the dwelling where 11.4 feet is existing, and a proposed total side yard of 22.2 feet where 26.3 feet is existing. And 2, 330-84D pyramid height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 2 cubic feet at the northwest side. And 3, for the proposed deck addition at the north side of the dwelling, 330-11 residential district's table of dimensional regulations for a minimum side yard of 10.5 feet where 20 feet is required, and 330-76D placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83 yards to allow a portico on the proposed wood deck to be located within the total required side yard for the principal building and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction. Professor Cornelius?
Our night of.
Good evening.
Good evening, board
minute-
members. It's
minute
very nice to see you all.
Relief.
Nice to see you too.
Wayne Bruin, O'Shea, Marcinsigan Bruin, on behalf of Charles and Mary White, who are with us in the audience tonight. The premises, as indicated in the notice, is located on the easterly side of Ponquag Avenue, approximately 350 feet south of Kyle Road and directly opposite the intersection of Hampton Road and the hamlet of Hampton Bays. We're located in the R20 district. The premises is a narrow, single and separate lot containing 22,381 square feet, so it's conforming to lot area. However, the lot has approximately 67 feet of frontage on Ponquag Avenue and has an actual lot width of 63.08 feet because it's more or less on a skew or an angle on the lot lines, side lot lines, as compared to the street lot line. And the lot extends 355 feet in depth. The premises are improved with a pre-existing dwelling, approximately 900 square feet. It's a one-story dwelling with side porches, deck, and a former garage, which was converted to an accessory recreational building, all with the benefits of permits and the CO. As I indicated, the lot is essentially a parallelogram with the sidelines skewed or angled to Ponquag Avenue. But all the dwelling and all the improvements, if you look at the survey, are oriented in a perpendicular to Ponquag Avenue. If you happen to drive by, you would look at it and you wouldn't know that the lot lines are skewed. Rather, you just think it's a normal house and the sidelines are accordingly.
Right.
As such, the house is on a diagonal, so the southwesterly corner is approximately 11.4, where there's a bay window. The northerly side is 14.9. What the proposal here is for the applicant basically to do an extension of the house to make a reasonable size, modest size expansion of the house. And there's already a current deck attached to the rear. They would continue a deck and a hot tub on the rear. And because the logical extension is to just go straight back, they are stepping it along the north side to maintain the minimum sidelines.
Bless you.
Bless you. So the proposal here, the existing lot, as I mentioned, has a 63-foot total side yard, lot width. And as such, under the 3/10, 4/10 rule, it's permitted to have a minimum side yard of 10.09 feet with a total of 25.3, I believe, or 23. However, these expansions of the dwelling, we're also proposing a front porch, covered front porch along the frontage. And as such, the expansions take us to a setback that would exceed the minimum of 1 of 10.09, but we're maintaining a setback of 10.5 feet on the north. And the small deck expansion, the corner of the deck, would extend from 11.4 to 10.4, so basically a foot. And interestingly, it's that front deck extends into the pyramid for the 44 square feet. And that's more than the north side, which has an existing encroachment, and where the 2-foot encroachment is on the north side to the pyramid. I just want to note, the other relief that was noticed in there about a portico is, I think, incorrect from the building department. There was a question on the garage that was converted to a recreational building, and on the plans, there's a little front porch, call it a portico, on that. And there was a question by the building department and a letter in April, which we responded to and reminded them and provided them with a copy of the plans where they had approved it. But nonetheless, the front porch is on the north side of that structure. It's not doesn't encroach on any side yards. It's 39 feet from the rear, north line, so it wouldn't even encroach on the sidelines. So we're not asking for relief there. So that is the expansion, and if you perceive this from the street, you would know where the lot lines, there's very little vegetation, there's really no fences, you wouldn't know there's an encroachment. Our client's family owns the property to the north, the parcel that would, and there's been no objections expressed there. 2 lots to our south is the church property, and directly opposite that is the Hampton Bays Fire District property, which includes a vacant lot just to the north of that. The property to our rear is a vacant flag lot. Of course, that flag lot to the east, is more than 200 feet, 50 feet from our property. And to the south, the property owner to our south has expressed to our clients he has no objections at all to this application. And again, the only part that would really impact him is the small corner of the front porch. Otherwise, the improvements, the closer improvements, if any, are on the northerly side. So we're here if you have any questions. Our petition and documents do indicate how we believe there's no detriment to the community. It's not a substantial request. In fact, under your code, I believe you could consider the side yard and total side yard setbacks as minor variances, far less than 25% of the requirement.
So I'm just looking at the survey, and I think what is a little challenging for the applicant here is the direction of the configuration of the existing house. So I understand you're doing the extensions on it based on that. If the house was, even, you wouldn't have these issues to speak of.
Exactly. If it was perpendicular to the sidelines as opposed to perpendicular to the street, we wouldn't be talking about anything.
Yeah. So, I think that creates, part of the issue here. The fact that the main neighbor impacted is apparently neighbor to the north that's property owned by, I guess, a family member.
My client's brother actually owns that property.
Okay. Because that's the property that's mostly impacted by this. It does look like a lot of relief when you look at the verbiage and all of it.
The number, the amount of variance.
Right.
But they're all
small numbers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you heard from the other neighbor?
To the south, Mr. Finnerty has expressed to my client he has no objections.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
I don't know if he's here to say anything.
Okay. Any questions from members of the board?
No, I agree with Adam. I think it's a reasonable application in that if the house was perpendicular with the lot, you wouldn't be here with this application, everything would conform. I don't have an objection to the application.
What's the variance that you said you don't need, Wayne?
It's the last one in the notice that had to do with a portico which they state is on the deck, but if you look at the building plans, there is no portico or anything on our house plans. And there, we did have correspondence, and I can provide you with a copy, which I think is in the record, where Marjorie in April had asked the question, and she indicated that she, at that time, did not know if there was a permit for the front porch. However, the plans that were stamped, this is on the garage, which was converted to a rec room, that there was a porch, which you can see, and these are a copy of the plans, which was all submitted and responded to on April 9th. So I was a little confused when I did see the notice indicating that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and if she can just, just to cover, if you can just confirm, if you can have...
Of course, we're going to ask why
Yeah.
it, I kind of think that she had prepared the notice ahead of time.
Yeah.
Without knowing the response.
And that's fine, but we just don't want you to end up having to,
No,
come back.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I don't think it's a portico. I think it's a portion. This is a portion of the proposed wood deck.
Yeah.
So I don't,
Should drop
Yeah,
it in.
Yes, that,
no, but there's no portion of a proposed wood deck to be located in the
we did
report?
ask for that relief, the portion of the deck, yes. Because the deck is more than a foot above grade.
okay.
And it's attached to the dwelling, so we did ask for that, and that was part of our relief.
But that's what I'm
But
saying,
it's
isn't that what,
maintaining the same setback as the existing.
but isn't that the last part of relief? Isn't that
Yes,
what it
if
is?
that's the case, if you read that as a portion of the deck,
Portion,
yeah.
that's
Okay.
not a
that's
portico.
what it is.
Not a portico.
I think it's
Yeah, it's
portion.
not a
I'm going to
portico.
say it's a
Yeah.
portion of the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Absolutely. We did ask for the portion of the deck, so if that's the way, I agree that we want that relief, but not for a portico.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
It just so happened she had asked.
I'll
for a
confirm if
Yeah.
that's a typo then.
Yes, yes.
Wayne, is the proposed pool patio, is that at grade?
Yes. Yeah, we've asked about everything to do with the proposed pool, and they said everything conforms. So
And the pool patio is like right at the property line, I guess, at that one
it's all
corner.
at grade.
But it's at grade, so you don't need a permit for it. Okay, all right. Any other questions from members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of White? This is for property located at 103 Ponquag Avenue in Hampton Bays. If anyone would like to be heard, this is the time to let us know. Okay, if not, Cornelius, it's yours.
Motion to move, to close the public hearing, leaving open for written submissions only until July 29th, with a decision on August 5th.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill. Aye. Mr. Sessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
The evening of...
Okay, item 4 on the agenda is Noyak Log Cabin Trust, 44 Noyak Bay Avenue in Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-4-2-72. Applicant requests relief from 330-115C, continuance for a principal minimum side yard setback from 5.9 feet to 2.8 feet, and relief from 330-84D pyramid height for an encroachment in the amount of 219.6 cubic feet, all for a proposed patio room addition to an existing dwelling on a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction?
Good evening. Just have to swear you both in if you're going to speak.
Yes.
So if you can just, unless you're attorney, so you can just state your names and addresses, please.
Robert Schaefer, 125 Marvin Avenue, Rockville Center, New York, and 44 Noyak Bay Avenue
Okay.
in
and then-
Noyak.
Patricia Schaefer, 125 Marvin Avenue, Rockville Center, 44 North Bay Avenue, Noyak.
Okay, and do you both swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. You can tell us about the application.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning the required setbacks. We're asking relief from, asking for minor relief on the pyramid, basically because of the positioning of the patio room. I have appeared before this board before, but it was 20 years ago when we did an addition to the house. I do recognize some faces, I recognize the room, but it was a snowy night.
Keith, I think you might have been the only one.
I was going to say, okay.
The only one.
But it was a snowy night in December, and I was here with one of my sons. We've been in Noyak, I've been in Noyak almost 60 years, okay? When we got married, obviously my wife came as
Right,
well.
47 years.
47 years, and we've been in the log cabin now?
35 years.
35 years, okay? My folks formerly lived right down the street. That's how we got involved in the neighborhood. As I mentioned, 20 years ago, we added a couple of bedrooms to the house, added the dining room, needed a variance at that point. Same problem, non-conforming lot, corner, setbacks, okay? The room where we would like to construct now is basically a day room, okay? In lieu of a screen porch, because a screen porch, when it rains, you gotta put some kind of covering in there. It's my wife's idea. As we get older, we can't spend as much time in the sun, and that's basically the purpose of the room. We have 7 children, we have 18 grandchildren, so during the summer, on a rainy weekend, which, as you know, we've had plenty of, it's a little cramped for interior space. The patio that we're covering has been there since we purchased the home, okay? We haven't changed that at all. We're not covering all of it, we're covering about 60% of it. If any members of the board have seen the house, it is a log cabin. It is very distinctive in the neighborhood. When the
Seems to be the only one.
Yeah, well, there's a couple back by the trout pond. Okay, they're newer, though. Ours is, what was it built?
1956.
And, you know, it was a kit, and we maintained that look when we did the addition. And we were fortunate enough to get the same manufacturer to supply the log siding. This room will have, that's Ward Log Cabins. They're still in business, and they can supply the log siding, so that will conform. Upon posting the notices, more so than the letters, a lot of neighbors came up and said, "You're not taking that house down, are you?" And we said, "Absolutely not. I have tools, but I don't like to use them anymore," okay? So we're just going to do this, this minor addition. And that's it. In terms of relocating it, it's the place for it to be, over the existing patio.
I visited the house.
Pardon me?
I visited your house.
Oh, you did? Thank you.
I'm very, very impressed, and I have no problem with what you're planning to do. Looks marvelous.
Right. It's not even visible from the street.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I just want to ask about the adjacent parcel to the west, which appears to be vacant land?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the only parcel that's impacted?
Exactly.
Arguably.
And I know the owner.
Okay, okay, and have you
He's
spoken
the
with
owner.
You're
He
the
is
owner.
the
You are the
owner.
owner, okay.
You can see
Okay, so it's
right
like the other application we had where the neighbor was, well, the brother in that.
Right. I didn't,
So
the
do
neighbor.
you want to object to your application then?
No, the neighbor who's adjacent was not mailed because of the mailing requirements.
Okay.
But she's totally in favor. She loves, that yard, basically, the grandkids play baseball out there. No pool. We're right across the street from the water. There's no need for a pool, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing we've
Right.
passed.
It's really for them to run around.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, if this would have been an adjacent property with a house there and an adjacent property owner, my response would be, I would have a bit of a concern about, living space being so close to a property line. But being that you own the adjacent property to the west, I'm less concerned about it. But, if it turns out you sell it at some point, then, a purchaser may, be concerned about that.
Right now, Mr.
variance.
Grossman, no plans
Yeah.
to sell it.
The kids would never let us sell.
Yeah.
There'd be no place to
Yeah.
play.
Okay,
Green space.
yeah, okay.
Terrific.
Okay, any other questions, members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who is waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Noyak Log Cabin Trust? This is for property located at 44 Noyak Bay Avenue in Noyak. If you would like to be heard, this would be the time to let us know. Okay, if not, appears that there isn't anyone. Helen, it is yours.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing and leave it over for written submission until July 29th with a decision on August 5th.
Second.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mrs. Sessa. Aye. Chair votes aye. Thank you both for being here. Have a good rest of your night.
Have a nice evening.
I remember 17th.
That's great.
Okay. Item 5 on the agenda
I loved
is
it.
Karen and Brian
Loved it.
Coyle, 27 Pearson Road in Flanders. Suffolk County Tax Map 900-147-2-26. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code.
Please come by.
I do, I think I will. Oh, I definitely will. Oh. And I want to see the 7 children.
Okay, and the 18 grandkids?
Okay, applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the town code. One, for a proposed second-story addition to an existing dwelling and a non-conforming lot. 330-84D Pyramid for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 2,450 cubic feet on the south side, and 330-83K yards for principal total side yard of 23 feet plus or minus where 30 feet is permitted. 2, for the proposed second-story balcony on the north side of the building, 330-83K for principal total side yard of 19 feet plus or minus where 30 feet is required. 3, for a proposed wood deck on the north side of the dwelling, 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow the wood deck to be located within the total required side yard for the principal building at a setback of 13 feet plus or minus. 4, to legalize the location of the AC unit installed on the south side of the dwelling without the benefit of a building permit. 330-77G, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts for a total side yard setback of 7 feet plus or minus where 10 feet is required. 5, to legalize the 2 storage boxes on the south side of the dwelling which were installed / constructed without the benefit of a building permit. 330-11 residential districts table of dimensional regulations for an accessory side yard setback of 4 feet plus or minus and 6 feet plus or minus respectively, where 20 feet is required. And 330-76D placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and 330-83C yards to allow the wood deck to be located within the total required side yard for the principal dwelling, principal building, at a setback of plus or minus 13 feet. And 6, to legalize the outdoor shower located on the south side of the dwelling. And I imagine it got there without the benefit of a building permit. 330-11 for an accessory side yard setback of 4 feet plus or minus where 10 feet is required, and any other relief necessary. What the hell?
The board has jurisdiction.
I don't know. Good evening. I just have to swear you in unless you're, any of you are attorneys.
I'm not a attorney.
Okay, if not, if you just all state your names and addresses, please.
Ryan Coyle, 31 Willow Avenue, Islip, New York, and also 27 Pearson Road, Flanders.
Okay.
Karen Coyle, 31 Willow Avenue, and then 27 Pearson.
Okay.
Raymond Renault, architect, 44 South Monantic Road, Shelter Island, New York.
And do you also swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Greg, I didn't catch your last name. Is it
Uh,
Greg or Craig?
No, it's Ray.
Oh, Ray.
Raymond Renault, Renault.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks. If you can tell us about the application.
Okay.
So I'll talk, I guess.
No, I want to talk. I did
So
all
you
the
want
work.
to talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
We both talked.
She did all the work, getting all the applications, so.
My name's
away.
Karen Coyle. We bought the house, Brian and I, 2 years ago after we retired. It's a very small piece of property, as you can see, and it's a one-bedroom, little tiny house, and we want to put a second story on with another bedroom and a bath. That's basically it. Because the property is so small, and we bought it with the shower on the side and all these things that weren't done. We wanted to legalize everything and get things the way they should be. we basically hired Ray to do it the best way, not to be invasive, to make sure that we stick with the blueprint, that we don't, because it is a small piece of property, that we're not making this big thing with pools or anything, just putting that second story on. And Ray worked really hard at trying to make, and
Sure.
you could talk about it.
So as you can see, the property is only a 50-foot wide lot. And when we look at the pyramid conformance or the sky plane exposure, to get to the maximum height, we don't even achieve the maximum height because of the pyramid conformance. So the existing house is currently not conforming. We are not changing the footprint on the sides of the house. We are adding a little bit towards the street. And essentially, we've designed the addition to have a shed roof moving away from that southerly property line the best that we can in order to minimize the impact. We even lowered the plate height on that wall as low as we could. It's a 5-foot plate height. That's going to be a 5-foot plate height inside their closet. We didn't put any windows along that side of the elevation to minimize any potential impact on the neighboring property. The existing footprint of the house itself is existing. We're not moving it, we're not changing that. Essentially, we're looking to add a master bedroom and not a palatial suite. This is essentially a master bedroom and a small bathroom and a closet up on the second floor.
What's the total square footage of the second floor? For the record, I reviewed this document.
Yeah, I have to look at the,
Where the total house, where does the house go from and to, or to?
so we have, let's see, it's a little small.
And just watch out for the
had a me-
microphone.
Oh, sorry about that.
Glasses, maybe.
Oh, magnifying glass?
No, I think I have it on this sheet. So we're adding a 256 square foot master bedroom, a 46 square foot master bath, a 31 foot closet, and 91 square foot hallway with a staircase. And also the addition is essentially running with the existing staircase. So we need a certain headroom for that staircase. And, 5 foot is a really low plate height. We're trying to make it as livable as possible. We're putting some bookcases along that side, on the inside, because it's such a low plate height.
I think it was done well.
Yeah.
To make it work, I'm okay
Yes.
with it, but you worked with a tough condition.
It's a tough
I'm good with it.
condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do want to ask about, which I think I know the answer already, the as-built. That is, my guess is you probably bought the property with these
They have
structures built without permits.
propane tank on that side, they had a little shower, and then tiny, two little wood sheds.
When
Put
Marjorie
like 3 things in there.
checked it out, she's like, oh, that wasn't, I'm like, well, that was there when we bought it, but let's do everything right, and if we have to get rid of it, we get rid of it. Like, I just want to make
Oh,
everything.
yeah, and the air conditioning unit was on
Yeah.
that side.
Okay.
So she suggested we put it on this application because it was there already and,
Okay. Well,
Fluid.
the only reason I asked the question is because, if any of it would have been done after you bought the property, I would be asking you,
Oh, yeah, no.
about what happened. But it doesn't sound to me like you would have any information about that because you bought what you bought. That having been said, when you buy properties, usually when people buy property, they have an attorney, and attorneys are supposed to kind of look out for these things. But I don't know, the things that we're talking about aren't like, the house itself, but, it's something that should have been picked up, and you're trying to rectify it, and I appreciate that.
Is there anything that you would get rid of?
well, the sheds are like falling apart. They're like
So is there
junk.
some-
Yeah, we're not planning on keeping those
Yeah.
sheds.
Okay, so there's some aspects
And
of
whether we're
Yes.
going
going
to
to
have
eliminate.
propane, that might be
Yeah, that might be
eliminated
gone
also.
too, like, if we put a different, like I said, I did this all myself. I didn't hire a lawyer because they were so expensive. So, I got the DEC permit, I got the conservation, very friendly,
Very
Marty
good.
Shea. Candace knows me on a first name basis. She's like, Karen, all right. I'm like, did I do everything right? Did I right?
You've done a very good job.
As you could see with my teaching skills, with my little, everything organized, my table of contents, I tried the best I could
Yeah.
for somebody that, you know, I mean, I know my neighbor across the street, Candace, I spoke with, and she was fine with it. I know our other neighbors are here, next, over here. We don't go there that often. I mean, that I've
Well,
had
it's a,
conversation.
you know, it's a part-time house. I retired from the city fireman, she retired as a teacher, so we fell in love with the property, the view. I've always been on the water, I was a clam digger my whole life, so I was just, fell in love with that part of it, and, you know, just thinking our daughter's getting married, maybe someday we'll have grandchildren, so it'd be nice to have a, you know,
Right.
two-bedroom.
And it's just one little, like, bedroom and a gallery kitchen now. It's very tiny.
Yeah.
And we're still keeping that footprint, so it's not like we're making a mansion here, just to...
I can't see really where those sheds and little doodads are that are included in the
Well,
request.
and that was the other thing I forgot, was
You
to
know,
mention. I was looking for the measurements on the survey.
They redid it.
They redid it, okay, good.
Yes, I had it
'Cause-
redone, and the new survey that Candace put in has
Okay,
it.
excellent, because we just have to have, anything that requires variance relief has to be, the measurement has to be on the survey, so I'm glad you took care of that.
Yep, they took care of that.
Yeah.
And if those sheds are falling down, you might just
Yeah.
want to consider,
Yeah. I mean, they're little sheds,
Giving
and they
that
have
up.
some tools
Yeah, I
in
mean,
it.
it's like literally enough room for 2 shovels and a pair of clippers.
And his old clam rake.
Yeah, my old clam rake.
Are those referred to as the storage boxes?
Yes.
Or- Okay.
Okay.
Well, if those are falling down, then they should,
Then they
then you
should go
shouldn't
down. They
grant,
should go.
you shouldn't grant relief for those.
I mean, they're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
They've
the
been
only
there for
thing
who
was
knows
the
how
air
long.
conditioner, and, yeah, it would be nice to have the side shower, but we don't have that. you know.
Well, actually, when we, grant relief for, structures that are, small structures, we want to make sure they can withstand a decent storm. So if they're in really bad shape, they really should go anyway.
Well, I mean, the shed is like this big, what a,
Really? Okay. Well, and, hopefully, if you wanted to get a new shed, you can.
Well, we're getting a whole brand-new septic system, too. We hired an engineer for that, so that, we also feel like that's going to make it better. Than no nitrates in the water. We're going, all that'll be brand new. It's going to be a lot healthier and better than what it is now with a cesspool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
What
that
was the
will
total
help
house
it.
size again?
You never told us.
I have, I think, everything on that chart except for the actual house size.
What's
the
existing?
the
I
bottom
have the
floors
lot
are,
coverage is 19 square foot. That's the lot coverage
The
including
existing house is
the
900, I think the numbers you rattled off are about another 300.
Yeah.
So you're talking like 1,200 square feet, 1,300 square feet.
Yeah, it's a
total.
very small house.
Modest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little...
Okay. All right, any other questions? Susan, do you have a question?
No, I don't, except if you're asking for a variance on something that you're going to eliminate, do you want to, eliminate it before you ask for a variance on it?
Well,
You know,
Marjorie
we're-
told us to do that because she said in the future, if you want to put a shed there, then you have that.
You at least have the 2
approval.
feet or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right, and she said instead of, because I said, oh, we're probably going to get rid of them anyway, and she said, oh, no, when you get it,
Okay.
that was her
Just asking.
recommendation.
Okay.
Well, but I mean, the discussion we've just had is about eliminating, not
Yeah.
granting a variance for them.
Yeah, I know, so
I'd
that's
prefer
what
to see
I'm
them
asking that
eliminated.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, so you're saying the sheds would be eliminated?
Yes.
Okay, but what?
Yeah, because
the
they're
other part
asking
was
for
the
plus
air
or minus
conditioner.
4 feet,
Right.
6 feet.
The
I mean,
other part
that's
was the air conditioning unit.
where
and the
20 is
shower,
required.
No, the air conditioning unit and the shower.
and then
I have no
the
problem with it,
propane.
Okay.
but I would take out the...
Just because you told us the
Yeah.
sheds are falling apart, I
Yeah.
mean, that
Yeah,
in
okay,
itself.
that's
is,
fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
We'll look
Okay.
at it.
A
We'll
reason.
just condition the decision upon the sheds being, whatever you call them,
Removed.
out.
Storage box.
Removed.
Yeah, storage.
We may want to have the survey to be revised to reflect to be removed. What do you think, Katie?
I could do that, I'm on first name basis with him also. Twin Forks.
Yeah, I mean, might as well.
The other day.
Might as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's really cool, he'll do that if I ask him.
Okay.
And I can
Storage
send
boxes,
you all,
he always got it right on there, is
Yeah.
to be removed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And do you have fencing or kind of sound protection for the pool equipment?
we don't
The
have
air
any pool.
conditioning unit?
We don't have,
Yeah, we have a stockade fence on that, along between our house and the neighbors.
it's on the survey.
Okay, any other questions from members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who's waiting to be heard this evening in connection with the application of COIL? This is for property located at 27 Pearson Road in Flanders. come on up if you'd like to be heard. You can, I guess, go over to the podium, and I just have to swear you in unless you're an attorney.
Not an attorney.
Not an attorney. Okay, so if you can state your name and address, please.
James Wadig, 1404 Jefferson Avenue, West Islip, New York, son of Carolyn Allig, 21 Pearson Road, Flanders, New York.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I absolutely do, yes.
Jay, you just spell your last name for me?
Weydig as in George.
Okay, thank you.
And are your parents the ones who own an adjacent property? Or
Yes.
Yes, okay, okay. All right.
So yeah, I'm just here as a neighbor. I only got wind of the hearing recently, so I just happened to be on, out last weekend, and I talked to my mom, so we figured we'd come down and, have to hear what they're proposing. We did speak at one point while we saw each other a couple weeks ago, and said it's definitely a small house. It's really a tiny footprint, and to add living space to anything out there is certainly going to benefit your, well-being out there and having people to visit. We have a lot of people come out all the time, so it's nice to have an extra room to accommodate that. And it's just a very small building, so I'm not really opposed to that whole aspect of it. I haven't really seen the plans. I'm sure the architect did a wonderful job. Hoping that the design looks a little better than the fence we got to stare at, but other than that, it's something I'm not opposed to. And things on the side yard were definitely there before they bought that house, and we've been staring at them for a long time. So attest to the shower and the two little shed things. And but other than that, the neighborhood is a quiet neighborhood. It's very rural, not much going on there, not a lot of big homes being built. So everything that's kind of the way it's been is kind of been that way as long as we've been out there. So I think improving their property this way is certainly going to be an improvement, obviously, for them, and I don't think it's going to be a real deterrent to anything that's happening there. It doesn't disrupt the views, I don't believe. There are a lot of tall trees. I don't know how much taller they'll be than those, but I think overall, there really shouldn't be anything that would be a major impact.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate your comments.
And they're here, so you can take a look
Thank
at
you
the
for
plans.
taking the time to come.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in connection with the application of Coyle?
Did you say you did get your comm board permit for this? Did you say you did get a conservation
Yes,
board
I have
wetlands
the
permit?
conservation.
Okay.
It's, in the back, I have my DEC and the conservation. It's on the table of contents.
Okay.
And I also got the engineering.
Very impressive.
It's the state.
Thank you. I tried very hard. My husband's like, what are you doing with all these buckets? I'm like, no, I have to be organized.
They don't understand.
Yeah. No, but then it's easy for you. You look and you go, okay, there's the CO, there's the,
It's the teacher in you.
Yes, it is the teacher in me.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, seeing hearing no one else, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for determination on 8/5 and leaving it open for written submissions until 7:29.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for being here. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you for your comments.
You need the receipts of all the things I paid from town hall? I have that too in an envelope.
Receipts now.
I don't think so.
Okay, just want to
Candace
make
is the
sure.
boss.
Candace.
She'll tell you.
Recess, Brian.
This is correct.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
All right, best wishes.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 6, which is Edward Burke Jr. and Patricia Burke, 57 Hampton Road, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-5-2-17. And you want me to read this?
Nope, because we re-advertised it and then we adjourned it.
Okay,
Okay. How do you think?
take it easy, Bruce.
Barbershop still closed these days for COVID? What happened?
Listen, out in Mattatuck, the one barbershop we had.
They didn't open up yet?
No, that's
Okay.
crazy.
I know
The
you-
building
I know how
department
it
just
feels.
opened up last week. We were shocked. They do a parade. We're a little backward out there. But All right, so good evening, Mr. Chairman, rest of the board. As you may remember, my name is Stephen Kiley. I'm the attorney for the applicants Edward and Patricia Burke, owners of 57 Hampton Road in Noyak. I'm here tonight with our environmental consultant, Bruce Anderson from Suffolk Environmental. We're here seeking to procure an area variance from Section 330-84D2 of the Town Code, better known as the Pyramid Law. Again, the subject property is improved with a one-story dwelling, outdoor shower, deck, and a two-car detached garage. The structures are CO'd via pre-CO from 2008. The proposed lot coverage is 16.85%, where 20% is the maximum lot coverage allowed. As to the proposed dwelling, the pyramid relief requested for same was fully vetted at the last hearing, and I rely on the record thereof and any written documentation submitted in connection with that application. However, tonight, we are here to exclusively seek purportedly 1,080 cubic feet of pyramid relief for a proposed second-floor addition to the detached existing garage. The applicants are looking to put a second story on the garage for a 400-square-foot yoga studio/home office with bath. It would clearly be subordinate to the proposed 3,045-square-foot home. As you're aware, the applicants are a family of 5 and looking to make this their forever home. Thus, they would have no other location for a yoga studio, home office, other than this proposed second-floor addition to the garage, as all of the bedrooms within the proposed dwelling are needed for just that, bedrooms. And since we cannot have a basement, the first floor of the garage must be used for storage. We'd prefer to retrofit an existing structure than seek to put a new addition onto the proposed dwelling, which would increase the mass of the dwelling. The garage is holding a pre-existing non-conforming side yard setback of 5 feet to the west, where the code requires 8 feet. Therefore, any second-floor addition would necessarily require pyramid relief. It should be noted that the existing one-story garage has a pre-existing encroachment into the sky plane of 150 cubic feet, which would mean that we're only asking for 930 cubic feet of relief. In a minute, I'm going to turn it over to Bruce Anderson from Suffolk Environmental to reiterate to the board what the character of the subject neighborhood is vis-a-vis the sky plane and the environmental conditions of the subject property and how this proposed second-floor studio would fit squarely into same. But before I turn it over to Bruce, I would like to briefly touch on a previous grant by this board for pyramid relief. It is the Wiki decision from 2006, subject address being 81 Pine Neck, which is right down the road from our property. This board granted 5,065.04 cubic feet of pyramid relief for an accessory apartment to be built above an existing detached garage. Again, 5,065.0 cubic feet. And here, we're only really asking for 930 cubic feet, or merely 18% of that grant. So now I'd like to turn it over to Bruce.
But before you turn it over, so what was the percentage, Steve? I know you said it was a 400-square-foot addition to the, to the garage, but what, how they do the
Calculate both
Yeah.
the first and second floor of that garage.
versus the
So it's
house?
4 and 4, it's 800.
Oh, they're the
in
same.
relation to the
Yeah,
house.
they're the same.
Yeah, but it's still, the proposed house is 3,450.
So again, my question is,
Usually
what's
the
the
percentage.
percentage?
I'm terrible at math. Bruce?
Well, we can't take it from you either. We need an architect to tell you what the,
Yeah, yeah.
what the percentage.
We'll be happy to do that. I can assure you it's way
I'd be a
less.
doctor and I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you.
Actually, that's an interesting point, and,
It's
if
not
the
good at
first floor is a garage and the second floor is living space,
math. They count both as the.
they do, okay.
It's
I
it's
didn't
the
know that.
totality of the accessory structure.
Okay, got it, all right.
But regardless, I think I'm terrible at math, but I could see, I asked my son to look at it, he's 13, he couldn't figure it out. But it's 3450.
We're way underneath, and we'll be happy to give you that information.
Yeah, he's going to do it.
And it's 980, not a 1080.
No, well, it is technically, because you have pre-existing.
Oh, so we need to break out of those.
Yeah, so it's
those
930.
Yeah,
we're looking
yeah.
New. The rest
930
is
and 150.
existing.
And our plans before you have that information, but maybe we can have them summarize it in a letter or
Yeah,
something like
that would be
that.
fine.
Perfect.
And we've come a long way from where we started, okay? I mean, with over 12,000 cubic
Oh,
feet originally.
That is
So,
the highlight of my career.
I'm sure. Very exciting to be able to come before us with that application.
It was.
But it's.
You remember that one?
I do.
So anyway.
Done, Bruce?
I went to, yeah, that's good.
Just raise your hands and
So,
walk out.
we all know, I think everyone knows this neighborhood. I put
put in all the variances last time, and obviously, the issue here is that, for the most part, all these lots are so narrow that if you put anything on a lot, you're going to be in violation of the pyramid. So if you, that's before you already, I don't need to go through that again. But if you look at just the survey in front of you, you'll see right next door, there's actually a one-story residence, 3.9 feet off the side lot line. So that residence is higher than 3.9 feet, which I can assure you it is. They're in substantial violation of the pyramid law. Now, the interesting thing you should take notice on that survey is that the two structures don't line up. So we're forward of that, closer to the street.
I have a picture if you'd like
structure.
to. Sure.
Okay?
I don't know what the, do I have to-
And the reason why I mention that is, to me, it's important because we're not blocking anything. You know, it's all about light and air and all that, so it's the placement of this building. The second thing is, its practical hardship really is, it's like everyone else, it's distance from a side and front lot line. So you're 5 feet from a side lot line, and you're 4.9 feet from the front lot line. Yeah, pyramid. The next thing that's probably important to note is that you have this IA system between the garage and the single-family dwelling, and that requires some fill. Now, this particular garage is built at existing grade, so what happens is they take two exterior walls, and that becomes the retaining wall for the grade, enabling the septic system to be built. So on the other side, particularly next to the fellow that's there, the actual height is a couple feet less than is depicted on the map before you.
Can I just interject real quick? So here's what he'll be looking at, the property to the west, the one that will be most impacted. This tiny little corner here.
Can I see that, please?
You have to stamp it in first.
Yeah.
All right,
sorry.
stamp it in, but I'd
Stamp
like
it
to
in,
see
and
it.
it'll go over to you, promise.
Okay, thank you.
Can I see it first?
Honestly.
Lawyers, you know, we can't trust them until we stamp it in.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you want to
can
make
vote.
sure it doesn't get changed.
Right.
Between you and the desk.
You never know.
You never know.
So that's worth noting. They've run the gable obviously parallel to the side lot line, which is sensible. The height of the building is 17 foot 5 inches, which could be 20, so he's lowered it. The ceiling height, the plate height on the exterior is 8 feet. He's dropped the pitch of the roof. That is lowering the ceiling height. So there's a couple of design elements in here that's designed to sort of minimize this. I can show you by comparison how it sets up with two other structures. I don't know how many you need, but...
Everybody needs one. It's in a perfect world.
Okay.
Bruce, don't you know 7 by now?
7. Including Candace, right?
Really 9 says 7, and Katie and Candace says.
I'm all right.
And Katie,
I'm okay.
So, you know, the purpose of this graphic is to show you just how these things sort of line up with, we really only have, we have a comp in the wiki application, which I handled. I don't know when we did that one. Let's say probably 10 years ago, maybe.
2006.
2006. And of course, we explained the house directly next door, and then the building to the left, if you will, or to the west of that is actually it's a single lot with two houses on it. One is sort of a guest house, and sort of the main house is in front of it. So it's sort of subordinate. It's like an accessory structure. And the reason for this graphic is to show that, you know, we're certainly within the range of, we hope the board feels that what we're doing here is reasonable to the property. In light of what's out there, other relief, the obvious practical hardships, which is the location of the existing garage, which will hopefully keep it in its present location. And that's really all I have to say. Of course, I'd answer any questions you might have.
Here's another aerial to show you the relationship between the Wiki and the Burke, to show that clearly in the neighborhood.
You're just finding these random photos in there. It's like one copy.
These were just for my own use, but now I'm sharing.
Can I ask a question, because I'm new on the board? What is the total pyramid relief for this entire property?
Okay, well, we,
What do you mean, with the dwelling and the?
Yes.
Okay.
tell you right now, the,
1,080 cubic feet for the house, but that's not counting the pre-existing.
No, that's for the garage, you mean.
I mean,
That's
for the
for the
Oh, no,
garage.
that's, okay, I'm sorry.
And then the house was 5534.
So total, if you don't want to take the 930 plus the 5534, that's over 6,000,
That's correct.
6,400?
Yeah, so it's not a small amount of relief.
It's
still.
not a small amount.
It's not a small amount of relief, yeah.
How much is existing?
The existing, that's the 1,080 cubic feet is what's
Just in the-
existing for the single-story dwelling
For the house?
for the house.
So I think you break those numbers out, 'cause I think that's what Mr. Kern's question was.
Right.
And then,
Because we have, to-
No, the 1,080 was for the existing house or for the garage?
no, it actually, it's similar. It's the two numbers, it's a quinky-dink. So
What?
1,080 cubic feet is what's existing with the
Total.
That's a term of art.
The Quinky Dink? Okay.
So 1,080 is what's existing on the single-story dwelling that's on the property right now. The existing dwelling is already encroaching 1,080 cubic feet.
Okay.
And then it was 100 and, what did I say for the other one?
Quinky Dink?
150 cubic feet of existing for the garage.
So existing house plus garage is
1,080.
1,230. Is that, so you add those two together?
Correct.
You add the 150 plus the, all right, so that's existing.
Correct.
And then the proposed total is,
they're asking for roughly 5,300, 5,380.
Okay.
My math as the new
Okay,
pyramid
all right.
encroachment, I
Thank you,
think.
Brian.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my math, but they're going to give you an architect letter, but.
yeah, that would be, but I'd like to know
Yeah.
what the total amount on the property
Sure,
is.
no,
Yeah.
and it's a good question, and very important to have that clear on the record.
Yeah, because the town actually sort of grandfathers your existing period relief.
Okay, that I appreciate, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get a sense
That's what's
for
good.
exactly what we're
Yeah.
we're
You will
asking.
get the exact numbers from the
But,
architect.
yeah, but another thing worth mentioning, there are a couple of areas in the town where there are really small lots and
I
have major issues with
Sure.
pyramid and pretty
FEMA.
much anything. One of those is right here in Pine Neck, and another area is certain parts of Flanders, where virtually anything a property owner does needs
Yes.
what normally would be a very large amount of relief to us, but they need relief for anything. I mean, anything
I
at
just
all.
want to get clarification about what you're asking for.
Right,
That's really-
right.
Yeah, no. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like, it's, as the notice says, so we're asking for 5,534. That does not include the pre-existing
Does.
1,080 for
It
the
does
house.
include that.
No, not the 5,534, it does not include the 1,080 credit, so, shall we say. And then what we're looking at for the garage is 1,080, not.
But what I'm
counting
saying
the
is that
100.
1,080 on the garage, 150 of it is existing.
Right. that's
And
correct.
as is so what I think Ms. Kern's asking for in the board is, it seems to confuse the numbers, is the 5,534, in that number includes 1,080 of existing pyramid
No, it does
violation
not.
for the
No, it
house.
does not.
No, it does
I
not.
don't think it does.
No.
I thought it.
So you
It
have-
has to, because when you re-advertise, the building department includes them in that.
I don't think it did.
Excuse me, but didn't we have this conversation before where we asked for you to look at the documents and come back with a lower number?
They did.
We
They
did, didn't we?
did.
I mean,
They
I-
did.
They
I
did.
heard
Oh, yeah.
this number over and.
Yeah, they came down on the number.
Yeah, but
by-
not-
Significantly came down from where they were in the beginning.
I know, but still,
Yeah, well, but if this is a brand-new house, right?
It'll be a
It's
brand.
a brand-new house, so there's no pre-existing, there's no
You
1,080
don't get a credit.
living out there.
Oh, they give you credit for that.
Do they give you credit for that? I
I
don't
don't,
know.
but how can you say they're giving you
It's like
credit?
a
It's
CO
demolishing
thing,
the
they
house.
treat it like a CO, like they would give you credit for non-complying setback off a property line, even if you knock down the house, you could rebuild it in the same place.
Candace?
No.
You don't get credit for pyramid, you can include your pre-existing number if you're adding onto the house. Once you take the house down, yes, the building department will give you the setbacks. But if you're not building like the town, you're doing a whole different house.
Yeah.
Then you don't get credit for the pyramid.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. My point that I'm trying to make is that we're already in violation.
Right,
So,
right.
like, for the board's purposes, we should probably, like, in fairness and equity, maybe you start from that point.
No, and it's fine for us to have the information as to what the existing
Yeah,
pyramid.
but there's no plans out there that say 6,000 cubic feet of pyramid relief.
Right, correct. Yeah, yeah. But going back to what I was mentioning before, besides the wiki application, there are several other applications in the vicinity, in the area, where we granted pretty significant amounts of pyramid relief, more than we would normally grant over 5,000. My guess is if you take a look, you'd find several of them.
Well, yeah, Bruce has that whole study that we submitted the last
Mhm.
time.
Right.
It shows about 50
Yeah.
grants.
Yeah.
Because this,
But we need to give relief on the total amount of relief requested, understanding that part of it is, is in the existing structure,
Yeah.
but on the total amount.
Yeah, and a
not
lot of
just on
these
the additional amount.
originally have been like summer bungalows, little tiny,
Seems to me like an architect letter will clear this up for the board.
Yeah, no,
Because I'm
we have to give you one anyway, so we'll just make sure it's added in.
Please.
Okay, yeah, so the written submission would take care of that.
Very good.
But we appreciate the information, and it's always good to,
Who's on first?
clarify.
so as the chairman aptly noted, though, this is a very old subdivision from 1925, and the lots were heavily pre-existing, non-conforming to current zoning standards, as far as being very narrow and not acknowledging or holding the current setbacks. So I'd like to just sum it up, if I could. In sum, the granting of the subject pyramid relief will not, one, create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to the nearby properties, as Bruce has shown at the previous hearing and here, that the proposed second-story additions would actually be in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. In fact, in Wiki, this board found that based on a review of an aerial of this community, that two-story structures are not unusual in this area, and confirmed that, given the proximity of the structures on these smaller lots, pyramid violations are prevalent. That was a finding in Wiki by the board. And while here, the setback is remaining unchanged, the garage is sited to the south of the dwelling located on the westerly neighbor's property, thus the second floor would have little to no impact on the use of the property to the west, as Bruce discussed and as we showed in the photo documentation. And they are not, it should be noted, they are not here tonight objecting to this application. Additionally, as previously referenced, an alternative wastewater system will be installed, thus there will be a net benefit to the adjoining neighbors. Two, the granting of the variance cannot be achieved by some other method. As stated previously, the subject property is significantly constrained by the combination of the narrowness of the lot, FEMA regulations, the 50-foot wetlands buffer, the space required for an alternative wastewater system, and the historic development of the lot in terms of where the location of the detached garage was sited. Further, there is no other way to construct a yoga studio/home office but for the subject second floor of the garage, without potentially creating other nonconformities, encroachments, and increasing the bulk of the dwelling. Which similarly, in Wiki, the board found that the proposed addition over the existing garage, rather than an addition to the main dwelling, so again, similar here, garage, put the addition over that, minimizes the overall appearance of mass in both width and dimension. Additionally, an addition to the garage is in keeping with, an addition to the garage is keeping any further construction away from Noyak Bay, which would be the most southerly part of the subject property. Again, we're bringing it away, so it benefits the environment if we're going to do the addition over there. In fact, in Wiki, the board found that an addition over the garage to be the most benign, and I quote, benign addition as it relates to the home's proximity to the wetlands.
Maybe you should
Same
just
as
make
here.
that decision. We can read it.
Oh, absolutely.
We do have some familiarity with it, but feel free.
It's all for the record.
You remember that one?
Yeah.
3, the variance is not substantial. The consequential pyramid encroachment is not large when measured against the non-conforming sky exposure plane historically set in this neighborhood. One can argue it is the right sky exposure plane for the neighborhood. Further, based on Suffolk Environmental's report, that again was previously submitted and went through by Bruce ad nauseum,
Is that for the record?
This board's average pyramid variance grant for this neighborhood is 8,440 cubic feet. That was the average we found, and that does not include the clear pyramid encroachments of many dwellings that didn't ask for relief that are pre-existing non-conforming. And here we're asking for a mere 1,080 cubic feet, and I'm really just talking about the garage because I thought we rested on the house. But, and for a mere 1,080 cubic feet or 930 cubic feet by deducting the pre-existing non-conforming of 150 cubic feet. Four, there will be no adverse effect or impact on the environmental conditions, as the pyramid relief only has to do with the keeping the structures in a more traditional scale. That's the purpose of the pyramid, nothing else but to keep the structures in scale. And here, as discussed, the encroachment is in keeping with the structures within the neighborhood. And as stated previously, a new alternative wastewater system will be installed, net environmental benefit. In conclusion, and in accordance with the prior submissions, prior precedent, and today's presentation, we respectfully request that the instant pyramid relief be granted. But I will end with the immortal words of the great John Bennett.
Oh, no.
Who stated in the Wiki decision
Please bear us.
that the pyramid nonconformity of this community, and I quote, "This neighborhood is honored more in its breach than in its adherence." Honored more in the breach of the pyramid than in its adherence to the pyramid. Thank you.
Can you remind us, what did the Conservation Board say? I don't have the whole file here, but I did see we heard back from them in April.
Well,
Did
the only
they
thing
have
the only thing we're
permit?
regulated in, this is a bulkheaded property. The bulkhead is more than 100 feet.
Okay.
Built prior to 1993. The jurisdiction is 50 feet. However, the existing dwelling is within 50 feet. So it's the demolition of the dwelling that is conceivably recognized, but we've asked for a letter of non-jurisdiction if they need a permit for the removal of a structure within their jurisdiction. We'll get it, because we're moving away. But
So
the
do you
bulkheaded
remember what
property.
the Conservation Board referral report said? Is my question.
Do you
But-
have this letter?
What does it say?
April 30th?
That's what I'm asking.
It says, as of today's date, the town has not received an application for a wetlands jurisdictional determination of or wetlands permit.
Okay.
So we're still waiting on that.
No, I put it in.
You put what in?
It went in June 1st.
Okay.
Yep. Application for
Okay.
LNJ.
Yes.
Have we heard from them?
Okay, would you have, I mean, this board won't act until we have something from the Conservation Board. Nope,
Conservation Board?
nope.
Well, it's been in there for 6 weeks. I don't hear
Well,
something.
let us know what
So
they
that'll be a
say.
written sub.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have a
So,
problem.
I just want to mention one other thing about the stuff about, when we have areas like this one. Well, it may be common to grant pyramid relief in, a larger amount of pyramid relief in certain areas, like in Pine We still ask applicants to reduce their pyramid relief, and that's what you've done. Okay? So, the way in which this application has been treated is similar to many applications. We scrutinize, we ask the attorneys or agents or applicants to do what they can to reduce. That's what we've done. I appreciate the fact that you've done that, and I know it took a lot of time and a lot of effort. So to me, this application, well, each case stands on its own merits, and each is a little bit different than the next. I think the process, the way in which this application has been handled has been consistent.
Well said, Jim.
Yeah.
He'd make a great judge.
I do want to say that, I'm not saying that I have an objection to the garage, but that I hold a variance for an accessory apartment at a different place than I do for a recreational space. Creating a living dwelling is a different priority, but
In this way, we're not going to make an accessory apartment, it's going to be a mere yoga studio.
no, we recognize that, right?
Now, just to be clear, we're going to present you with an architect's letter, give you the gross floor area of the existing dwelling versus the gross floor area accessory structure percentage.
Right.
Number and percentage. We're going to provide you with a pyramid nonconformity for existing, and we're going to provide you with a number, the architect will provide you with the proposed nonconformity for a number cubic feet sign stands.
But that's going to be a total, it's not going to be deleting what exists. In other words, you're not going to subtract.
Right.
Okay, so it'll be a
Right.
total.
Can we give you two numbers?
No, you give them all the numbers.
Give them all the numbers.
Withdraw from the total
But-
in your
but-
decision.
Hey, Bruce
Right.
knows what we
Want
want.
the total amount of relief being requested.
Because
Because-
what I'm learning is that the grandfathering goes away because for the house, because you're knocking it down. That's what I
Not
heard.
the setbacks, but the.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense. Whereas it would be credited if you were keeping it.
Gentlemen done?
I'm done.
And if you're approving.
No more, Churchill?
You can approve tonight.
Mr. Tuttle? Okay, so,
Anybody out there?
yeah, it doesn't appear to be anybody in the audience, so don't think there's any reason to...
Because you brought Bruce in.
Well, I'll do it anyway. Is there anyone from the public who wishing to be heard in connection, this evening in connection with the application of Bert? There does not appear to be anyone in the audience. Let the record reflect that. Okay, and with that, Keith, it is yours.
You can, we can put in, gonna need, we have here from town board.
Okay.
Get all
I'm
that.
gonna make a motion
Not an
to
issue.
close
Adjourn.
with a determination on 8/5, if we have everything we need, we hear from the
that's
town
fine.
board and everything.
That's fine.
And leaving it open for written submissions to, what did we go, 27?
29.
29.
7/29.
Second. Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. Sessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Undecided. What is that, an abstain?
Okay.
It's an abstain.
Abstain, okay. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
I'm sorry, aye?
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye. All right, thank you for being here. Good rest of your night.
Yes, thank you very much.
Take care.
Good to see you, Bruce. Thanks for the John Bennett quote.
I didn't do it, he did it.
I know.
Nothing on,
Yeah, we're adjourning that because that was my mistake. We've done some, just so you know, I've made some substantial changes. I wasn't sure he was finished.
There's no space for this testimony.
No, I'm not saying that, he's just asking.
I understand, but
We'll be
it's
back in 2 weeks.
not attached to anything. So we have to do a secret resolution for East Quad 535 Realty. That's the application that's before you for the gas station, the convenience store, the parking. I drafted it to defer to the planning board for lead agency.
Okay.
They requested it. I got an email from Anthony suggesting that, you know, that this board let the planning board take lead. It didn't seem like there were any objections to that, so Adam has,
Mr. Trezor this evening?
he was unable to make it. So Adam has, I think, the lead agency
I do.
resolution.
Okay. All right, so I have a secret resolution in connection with the application of East Quogue 535 Realty, Inc., whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals, the ZBA, has received a submittal on behalf of East Quogue 535 Realty, Inc. for property located at 535 Montauk Highway, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-341-152. And whereas the submittal has been accompanied by, 1, an application for variances in connection with the expansion of a nonconforming use, parking, and a proposed convenience store, 2, an environmental assessment form, and 3, other correspondence. And whereas after a review of the submittals, the Zoning Board of Appeals found that this project is an unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and coordinated review with the following involved agencies: the Southampton Town Planning Board, Suffolk County Department of Health Services, and Suffolk County Department of Public Works, each of which was notified of such application by letter dated June 15, 2021. And whereas the Southampton Town Planning Board has indicated that they would like to assume lead agency status in connection with the secret review of this project, now therefore be it resolved that the Southampton Town ZBA hereby agrees that the Southampton Town Planning Board should assume lead agency status with regards to the application of East Quogue 535 Realty, Inc. pursuant to 6 New York CRR Section 617.6B. And be it further resolved that this board directs that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Southampton Town Planning Board, Suffolk County Department of Health Services, and Suffolk County Department of Public Works.
Second.
Okay, Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Have a decision in the matter of the application of Lyndon Matera, 4 Sanderling Lane in East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-343-1-11. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-11, Residential Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal front yard setback of 32.8 feet, where 40 feet is required for a proposed covered porch addition to an existing dwelling. It's a type 2 action under the state secret. And the following testimony was submitted at the public hearing. Michael Matera appeared on behalf of the applicant and testified that they seek to construct a front porch addition to the existing dwelling that requires a setback variance. Mr. Matera testified that the proposal is consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and I might say the character of the town of Southampton, and that a porch addition is a common amenity. Mr. Matera also testified that he was unaware of any other issues on the premises, but that he would address the comments from the building department. Therefore, and for the reasons, and for the it passes the 5-part test. Therefore, and for the aforementioned reasons, this board grants from relief from Town Code 330-11 for a principal front yard setback of 32.8 feet where 40 feet is required for a proposed covered porch addition to an existing dwelling as shown in the survey prepared by John Gallagher, land surveyor, surveyed June 26, 2012, last updated June 11, 2021, and the plans prepared by Nicholas and Vero, architect, dated March 4, 2021. Granted foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant is already required and may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including the legalization of the roof over the open patio at the rear of the dwelling, the outdoor barbecue, and any fence over 4 feet in height prior to the issuance of any certificates of occupancy/compliance.
Second.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a determination in the matter of Joseph Vilpis, 2 Roses Grove Road, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-33-1-3-1. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-109A1, fences, walls, and accessory driveway structures and clotheslines to legalize the following that were constructed without the benefit of a building permit. 1. A 6-foot fence that runs east to west along the north side of the masonry block patio that is located on the west side of the dwelling, and 2, a masonry wall with a fence on top that runs north to south along the west side of said patio and has an overall height of 6 feet. It's type 2 pursuant to SECRA. Here, the applicant has not made a showing, nor has he met the standards that this board would need to grant relief. Offering a buffer from road frontage does not outweigh the detriment to the character of the neighborhood by varying the town code. While applicant asserts that the fence is necessary for the quiet enjoyment of his property, the aesthetic detriment to the neighborhood far outweighs such benefit. Additionally, the granting of these variances will cause an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood and create a detriment to nearby properties. Likewise, this board is not convinced that the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for applicant to pursue other than the variance. It is also self-created. It fails the 5-part test. Therefore, for the reasons set forth herein, this board finds that applicant has failed to meet the standards set forth in Town Code and New York State Town Law, and as such denies the request for variances to legalize both a 6-foot fence and 6-foot masonry wall with a fence on top of the property located at 2 Roses Grove Road, North Sea, State of New York, County of Suffolk, Tax Map 900-33-3-1. Since these structures have already been constructed, they must immediately be brought into compliance with the Town Code, which also may require permits and approvals from the Town Conservation Board.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I have determination on the matter of the application of Diego and Marlene Quisby. This is for property located at 828 Flanders Road in Flanders, tax type number 900-143-347. I will read the relief at the end. The premises is located at 820 Flanders Road in Flanders. I indicated the tax map number. It is approximately 9,432 square feet in the R15 zoning district. It has COs for structures on the property. This application is type 2 pursuant to secret. At the public hearing, testimony by David Lee Radican of Points East Real Property Services. He appeared before the board requesting variances in connection with the additions to a pre-existing dwelling that sustained damage from a fire. Mr. Radican testified that the roof of the dwelling was destroyed in a fire in 2018, and that the applicant's cousin reframed and started to repair the roofing prior to securing a building permit in order to protect the house and in response to requests from their insurance company to start construction. In doing so, Mr. Radican testified that the applicant's framed modest dormer additions that resulted in a new pyramid encroachment to the existing pyramid encroachment of the dwelling, as it benefits from a non-conforming setback of 1.6 feet from the property line. He explained that the dwelling is small and the applicants were looking to add more habitable space for their growing family. He submitted an estimate of $7,821 to bring the house back into its pre-existing configuration and submitted the original construction cost of $13,088.31 from CEQV Trim Carpentry Corp. When the permit was applied for, it was also noted that the applicants would have to legalize the construction of a screen room that was done without a permit, which consisted of screening an area of an existing patio that is not heated. He asserted that variances will not have any impact on the character of the neighborhood and that there is no alternative, as the dwelling benefits from non-conforming setbacks on the lot is constrained by wetlands. This board is in receipt of a letter dated February 24th, 2021, from the chairman of the Conservation Board, noting that the proposed construction conforms to the wetlands regulations and that the applicants must finalize their administrative wetlands permit application. This board is in receipt of a letter dated February 17, 2021, stating that the Suffolk County Planning Commission finds the matter to be a decision of local determination. This application passes the 5-part test. Never like to hear when people build things without permits, but that's what happened in this instance. Specifically, we found that, well, this board does not condone construction done without the benefit of the building permit under these circumstances with fire damage done to the roof. This board appreciates the applicant's hardship. Further, this board does find that the granting of the variances will not cause an undesirable change and otherwise passes the 5-part test. But it should be noted that this is a self-created hardship since construction was commenced without a permit, but that alone is not sufficient to deny the variances. Therefore, this board grants applicants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. Town Code 33084D, pyramid height for an encroachment in the amount of 3,216 feet, 16.07 cubic feet, 1,744.79 cubic feet pre-existing on the east side, plus 1,194.33 cubic feet of new encroachment, plus 27.78 cubic feet pre-existing on the west side, plus 249.17 cubic feet new encroachment. And relief from Town Code 330-115C, continuance for a principal rear yard setback of 20.9 feet or 29.3 feet is existing to legalize the construction of a screen room to the rear of the dwelling without the benefit of a building permit. These variances are granted for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Jeffrey Hatterer, last revised February 21st, 2021, and the plans and elevations of Paul John Clinton, architect, dated June 21st, 2019, last revised June 28th, 2021. The grant of this relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as the applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the premises, including all necessary approvals from the Conservation Board and the Suffolk County Department of Health Services, and securing of building permits, 1, for all fences of 4 feet, 2, the removal of structures listed on the survey, and 3, to legalize the removal of the front screen porch and carport that were removed without the benefit of a building permit.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa. Aye. Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Kern.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Anything else, or can we make a motion to adjourn?
Motion made.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.